Now, comparing the Wikipedia entry to my document, and I see that on the very first paragraph, the World Wide Web and www and web seems to be in bold, and I really wonder what that's about. So let me take a peek at the code, and I'm just gonna find that portion and see what they're actually doing with it. That to me that looks like text that's been emphasized, and let's see. Here we go. Oh, interesting. Interesting that Wikipedia used the B tag, which is for bold. There was and there is also another tag for making things bold, making things italics, which was I. Now, as you can see, this is an HTML tag. Now, what's the what's the problem of having a HTML tag that's called bold, or having an HTML tag that's called emphasis, regardless of whether or not it's just B or bold or I or italics? Well, the issue is that both bold and italics, they define the look of an element and not the semantic meaning. Uh, Over here, these tags that Wikipedia is using, for example, are bad practice with regards to HTML. HTML is meant to be semantic, and what happened in times is, although these were used in the past, and obviously they're still being used in some places today, they've been replaced by two tags called emphasis and strong, and they're not actually spelt out. They're uh, em for emphasis and strong for, well, it indicates greater emphasis. And now I'm looking at the W3C's page on HTML. Now, the W3C is an organization online. They don't sell anything. They just basically define all these standards like CSS and HTML. And what I mean is they work on the actual programming language, if you will, and how it should function. So if we're going to mimic what we have in the Wikipedia entry in our own, we're going to want to put some extra emphasis on World Wide Web, www, and web, both of those last two in quotes. So I am going to use the strong tag for this function. And essentially, the reason why this actually means anything is because in places like search engines, for example, when you put something in strong, it kind of adds a little more weight to it when they're analyzing you in their search algorithm and trying to place you in search results of, well, relevant search results. And the second thing is that, in fact, it's a visual element. I mean, by adding it, it's going to make it bold. It's going to give a little special attention to the visitor on that phrase. And but I was going to say is it makes it bold visually, but it doesn't necessarily have to stay that way because we could later on redefine its look with CSS. So here are the elements inside of the code that I want to add strong to. And here we go. Strong is just like that, strong. So I'm going to start it at World Wide Web and, of course, end it that way. And now I'm going to do the same thing here. Make sure I'm ending it properly. And oops, and where was the other one? Uh-oh, let me zoom back out. Or simply, did I delete some text or something? Or simply, oh, I think there we go. Let me, Oh, duh. I know what's going on here. My browser isn't going all the way. Okay, there we go. I didn't actually erase anything. I was zoomed in for the video and I didn't see how it fell on the other line. So let me save that and let's look at the result. And here it is. I'm about to refresh the page. Okay, you see how we had the words that we encapsulated in strong. There they are in bold and they're good. So if you notice something about this tag is that even though we added it, it didn't create a new line break like when you add the paragraph or header tag. Well, that's because strong and EM are known as inline level uh, elements, which means they don't adhere to the box model, which from a visual perspective means they don't generate a line break. But we'll look into that concept later. But essentially, the difference between inline and box level elements, for example, the difference between the strong tag and the paragraph tag, is that they're not affected by some attributes, some CSS attributes that the other ones are. So it's important to realize that there is a fundamental difference between these two tags and how we could interact with them with CSS.